Before the story begins, I'd like to ask you to subscribe and like. This will help the channel grow. The Vanishing Pines of Frost Hollow, a detective mystery story. The cold December air slithered between the rows of towering fir trees as Detective Rowan Hale stepped out of his car, boots sinking into the fresh snow that blanketed the Northwood evergreen plantation. The place should have been bustling, chainsaws humming, tractors groaning, workers hauling freshly cut Christmas trees toward the trucks, but instead, it was terrifyingly silent. Only the long shadows of symmetrical firs stretched across the snow like dark fingers reaching for the edges of the forest. The plantation manager, a bulky man named Ed Kesley, approached with a stiff, worried gait. "We're missing 73 prime Nordman firs," he said, his breath turning into small clouds in the frigid air. "All cut last night. Clean cuts, straight stumps, no mess. Whoever did this knew what they were doing." Rowan knelt beside one of the stumps, a perfect circular slice, neat as if done in a woodworking shop. No stray branches, no dragging marks in the snow, no tire tracks except those belonging to the plantation's own trucks. "You run night surveillance?" Rowan asked. "Only motion sensors on the east fence," Ed replied tensely. "But they showed nothing." Rowan felt something off instantly. The snow looked untouched, yet dozens of trees had supposedly vanished without a trace. It didn't add up. Either the thieves floated them out, or something here was being hidden. As Rowan paced deeper into the plantation, he noticed something strange. Tiny wood shavings, barely visible, scattered in a straight line leading toward the treeline. Not normal cutting debris, more like someone had tried to simulate a direction. A misdirection? A clue? Something about this that felt oddly theatrical. And Rowan had seen theatrics before, but not in the middle of a winter forest. The next morning brought no relief from the biting cold. The sky remained an unforgiving slate gray, and the snowpack had hardened overnight. Rowan returned to the plantation with a forensic team, hoping that the daylight might reveal what the night had concealed. The team fanned out quickly, combing the rows for any overlooked evidence. Rowan stayed near the treeline, his boots crunching the snow as he scanned for anomalies. And then he found one, not a footprint, but a repetition. A disturbing one, a long, continuous indentation in the snow, exactly 1 meter wide, weaving in and out of the trees. It wasn't made by a sled, nor by a truck, nor by any piece of equipment Rowan recognized. He crouched down, running his hand along the shallow groove. The shape was too uniform, too deliberate. Behind him, Ed Kesley approached again. "Find something?" he asked. Rowan nodded slowly. "Something that shouldn't be here," Ed grunted. "We didn't run any machinery last night. All equipment was locked indoors." Rowan glanced at the indentation again. "This wasn't machinery. Or at least, not yours." Before Ed could respond, one of the forensics techs waved them over. At the base of a fir tree, partially buried under snow, was a thin strip of blue nylon material. A tarp scrap, small but telling. Next to it, a piece of twine with commercial-grade tags attached. The kind used for transporting large bundles. This was all too organized. Too tidy. Not a group of amateurs looking to make a quick buck selling illegal furs at roadside stands. No tracks, no footprints. Rowan murmured. They cleaned up, or hid how they moved the trees. But then he spotted something else. Sap droplets frozen into tiny amber beads, forming a faint trail leading toward a service road. Rowan followed the trail until he reached a set of tire marks, almost invisible beneath a dusting of snow. A large vehicle. Possibly more than one. Now things were getting interesting. By noon, Rowan found himself sitting in a cramped cabin behind Northwood's western fields. The smell of pine resin, engine oil, and burnt coffee filled the single-room shack where old logger Gus Taverner lived year-round. His beard was an untamed white nest, and his flannel jacket had seen more winters than most people. "You're saying trees up and walked away?" Gus asked, leaning back in his chair and cracking a massive grin. "Not walked," Rowan replied, "but someone took them cleanly and quietly. We found industrial-grade twine, tarp fibers, and odd tracks." Gus stroked his beard thoughtfully. "Cut clean, no noise. Sounds like someone used a portable sawmill. Quiet ones exist. Expensive. But hauling 70 trees?" Rowan questioned. Gus shrugged. "A good logging crew with the right rig can do it in a night. Especially if they've got experience dodging permits. Lots of illegal logging operations around these forests." "But why Christmas trees?" Rowan asked. "They're worth money, sure, but not enough to justify the effort of such a clean operation." Gus smirked. "Unless the trees weren't what they were after." That made Rowan pause. "Go on." Gus leaned forward. "Northwood's been here a long time, since the 1950s. A lot of old rumors float around. Lost survey markers, hidden land deeds, even talk of an old smuggler stash buried somewhere beyond the plantation line. Maybe someone thought the trees marked a path." Rowan didn't buy folklore easily, but something about the precision theft hinted at a motive beyond simple resale. He stepped outside. Snowflakes had begun to drift lazily from the sky, coating the tracks left by Gus's generator. Then his phone buzzed, a call from the forensic team. They'd found something major, a GPS tracker, still blinking, attached to the root ball of one of the stolen trees. That meant someone else was looking for the trees too. Rowan stared at the GPS tracker lying on the evidence table like it was a smoking gun. It was commercial grade, weatherproof, and set to transmit coordinates every 30 minutes. But the shock came when tech expert Dana pulled up the tracking log. "It pinged an hour after the theft," she explained. "And twice this morning. The signal is moving. Slowly." "Direction?" Rowan asked. "North. Into the conservation area. The park closed to the public." That area was dense, dangerous, and full of old abandoned ranger roads no longer shown on current maps. Rowan grabbed his winter gear, a flashlight, and the handheld receiver. Dana insisted on coming, and soon they were trekking through knee-high snow, following the faint rhythmic blip on the device. The forest at night was a different beast. Branches creaked like bones, the wind whispered unintelligible warnings, and the snow muffled their steps in an eerie quiet. After nearly an hour, they found tire marks partially buried under drifting snow. Fresh ones. The signal grew stronger until Rowan spotted something ahead, a glow between the trees. He motioned for silence. Through the pines, they saw it, a makeshift logging camp lit by portable floodlights. Several bundled fir trees leaned against a truck, their root balls wrapped in netting. And surrounding the camp were 4 figures in heavy coats unloading equipment. Rowan raised binoculars. The logo was unmistakable. Frostline Timber, a company fined repeatedly for illegal forest operations. But there was something even more damning, a long wooden stake with reflective tape, the kind used for land surveying. This wasn't a random theft. This was preparation. Someone was marking land, claiming it. "What the hell are they planning?" Dana whispered. Rowan didn't answer, because he saw something that chilled him more than the winter air, a 5th person emerging from a tent, carrying a map marked with the exact outline of Northwood's plantation. Rowan and Dana retreated far enough from the camp to avoid detection. With frozen hands, Rowan snapped photos of the scene using his long-range camera. The evidence was overwhelming. Frostline Timber was planning something that went far beyond stealing Christmas trees for profit. "Looks like they're preparing for a land grab," Dana muttered, watching Rowan zoom in on the man holding the map. He was middle-aged, sharp-chinned, wearing a reflective vest over a heavy coat. His name came back to Rowan quickly. Brett Marwood operations manager for Frostline Timber, notorious for exploiting loopholes and bribing small-town officials. Rowan unfolded his own topo map, juxtaposing the area. "If they shift the plantation boundary north even slightly," he said, "they could claim logging rights for thousands of dollars worth of mature timber. They're staging evidence, like the stolen furs, to fabricate natural shifts in the boundary line." Dana frowned. "So the trees weren't the target. The land was. They're planning to argue the boundary markers were misplaced decades ago," Rowan continued. "With the trees gone, the marker line looks inconsistent. They'll claim it's on their side. Classic Frostline trick," Dana sighed. "Destroy the evidence, redraw the border, reap the profit." But then the plan grew even darker. Rowan zoomed in further on the map Brett was holding. A second line, drawn in red, led deeper into the conservation area, toward an old ranger station long abandoned. Rumor had it the place stored valuable geological surveys. If those surveys vanished, Frostline could challenge land claims for miles. "They're not just stealing trees," Rowan said. "They're erasing history." Suddenly, the camp lights shifted. Someone shouted. Two figures began loading the bundled furs onto a truck, getting ready to move. Rowan's window to act was shrinking rapidly. A blizzard rolled in faster than expected. Snow whipped at Rowan's coat as he and Dana circled back to a narrow service road leading to the illegal camp. Backup was en route, but visibility was worsening by the minute. Rowan knew they had one chance: catch the Frostline crew before they disappeared with the trees and the forged boundary documents. The sound of engines rumbled through the forest. Two trucks lumbered forward, packed with evergreen bundles. Rowan stepped into the road, badge raised, flashlight cutting a single white beam through the storm. "Police! Kill the engines!" The first truck skidded to a stop, swaying on icy tracks. But the second tried to swerve past him. Dana sprang from the trees, firing a flare into the air, blinding the driver with a flash of red light. The truck slid sideways, wedging itself between two pines. Chaos erupted. Frostline workers scattered, some diving into the snowbanks, others sprinting toward the tents. Rowan tackled one to the ground, snow exploding around them. Another reached for a radio, but Dana intercepted him, pitting him against a tree trunk. Then Brett Marwood emerged from the tent, clutching the survey map inside a waterproof tube, his face contorted with fury. "You don't know what you're doing," he shouted over the storm. "This land was misdrawn decades ago. Northwood stole it first." Rowan approached slowly. "Then why forge the documents? Why steal trees to cover your tracks?" Marwood hesitated, and that was enough. Officers burst through the treeline, surrounding the camp in a semicircle of flashlights. Brett dropped the tube into the snow, realizing the fight was over. Within minutes, Frostline's operation was fully exposed, trees recovered, documents seized, equipment confiscated. The storm swallowed the camp in white silence as the criminals were escorted out. Later, Rowan stood beside the bundled furs, snow collecting on their branches. Dana joined him. "Funny," she said. "All this over a boundary line." Rowan shook his head. "No. Over greed. Winter just made it easier to hide." But not easy enough.